Outrage continues to trail court decision to scrap ADC and 4 other political parties. Ex-IGP Michael Kiro funded police responsible for rising insecurity in Nigeria. Gunmen attack NIPSS, kill 3 security operatives in Plateau. World Bank lists Apapa Port and Tinkan on global top 20 improved port. Outside Nigeria, G7 leaders meet Iran and Ukraine high on agenda. Hub 5-1 trashing. Those are our top stories. Details coming up now. First on the news, a court ruling validated the African Democratic Congress ADC, Accord Party AP, Action People's Party APP, Action Alliance AA, and Zenith Labour Party ZL has continued to generate outrage from members of the opposition parties who described the decision as controversial and a threat to Nigeria's democratic process. Ola Adeleke and the national chairman of the ADC, Senator David Mark, faulted the Federal High Court Abuja judgment directing the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC register the 5 political parties, warning that the development could have far-reaching implications for Nigeria's democracy. Former Vice President and presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar also condemned the judgment, saying it was a threat to Nigeria's multi-party democracy and an attempt to weaken opposition forces ahead of the elections. The court ordered followed a judgment delivered by Justice Peter Lifu. The National Forum of Former Legislatures had in the suit to determine whether INEC has a constitutional obligation to remove political parties that failed to meet the electoral performance thresholds set out in Section A of the 1999 Constitution as amended, as reinforced by the Electoral Act 2022 and INEC's regulations. The plaintiff had argued that the 5 listed as defendants in the matter had persistently failed to meet the constitutional benchmarks required to retain their registration. The former legislature's strengths included winning at least 25% of votes in the state during a presidential election or securing at least 1 elective seat at the national, state or local level. They told the court that the ADC and the 4 other parties performed poorly in both the 2023 general elections and by-elections conducted by INEC to win seats across key tiers of government. And now to insecurity, where former Michael Kiro has attributed the worsening insecurity across Nigeria to years of inadequate funding, poor manpower, and insufficient equipment by the Nigeria Police Force. The country's security challenges will persist unless the government prioritizes the police. Speaking on the nation's security situation during an interview on the Rice television, Okiro said the police, as the lead agency responsible for internal security, have suffered prolonged neglect, leaving the force ill-equipped to effect banditry, kidnapping, terrorism, and other criminal activities. The former police chief lamented that despite repeated warnings over the years, successive governments frequently invest in the force, creating gaps that criminals have continued to exploit. Recalling his tenure as IGP, Okiro disclosed that he wants President Goodluck Jonathan drawing attention to the manpower shortage within the police. Take a listen.
I was against the issue of state police, looking at what has happened before the military regime. We had the regional police and all that. But government administration came and unified the Nigerian police. But then we found out that there's some loopholes. One is that the police is not even well funded. The police don't have enough manpower. The police don't have equipment. This is because the federal government has so many problems, and police is just one of them. And you can realize in Nigeria, because the police is a lead agency in internal security, and they're neglected. What's the result? We are seeing the result now. The neglect of the police. See now, because federal government, for some time, the police is underfunded. Even no manpower. I remember I had to write to the president. The police, some police stations have been closed because of lack of manpower. You still have young men and women, educated, roaming the street without a job. So, because of failure of the federal government to equip the police properly, I think governors can now do better. Who wears the shoe knows the pinches. The governor of Zamfara, it has a problem. He knows how to tackle his problem. The governor of has a problem. He knows how to tackle the problem. And the problem in Sokoto State, for example, is not the same as problem in Bayelsa. They count the problem differently. So the governors, you now know that if their states are not secure, nobody will come. So they'll do everything. Right now, the security funds are being managed by governors. But if they don't have to use the security vote, to the police, it will be more useful. And again, the state police will I think the law makes the state police, if I made the constitution, there should be checks and balances. There should be regulations on how the state government or state governor will handle the police. As it is now, the state governor is the chief secretary of the state. If you saw such a way that there are limitations as the power of the governor over the police, otherwise, 100% power over the police, they go to misuse the police. Even the position will not have anywhere in the state. If I'm a governor of a state today, for example, I'm not be a governor in the next 5, 10, 20 years. Other people come. So there should be a law that everybody, whether I'm a governor or not. So that's the National Assembly should, why the constitution being amended, there should be laws to guard the police. A situation where the governor will not tell the police commissioner, promote a so person, promote that. I think that is special promotion.
Meanwhile, suspected gunmen on Monday night attacked Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies (NIPSS) Kuru near Jos Plateau State, killing 3 security operatives in an attempt to breach the nation's foremost policy. Sources said the attackers stormed the institution at about 11:40 p.m. and opened fire, triggering an exchange of gunfire with security personnel stationed at the. A staff member of the institution who spoke on condition of anonymity confirmed the incident and said the attackers launched the assault unexpectedly. According to the source, security operatives engaged in a fierce confrontation to prevent them from gaining access to the institution. The staff member disclosed that 3 security personnel lost their lives during the soldiers and 1 police officer attached to the institution's security detail. He added that the swift response of security forces prevented gunmen from penetrating deeper into the force and further damage. The source, however, said the motive behind the attack remained unclear as of the time of filing this report. Also speaking, Bulus Aruna, a resident of Kuru in government area told newsmen the residents of surrounding communities were thrown into panic following the sound of sustained gunfire that lasted several minutes. Similarly, the Nigerian Army, in collaboration with the personnel of the Nigerian Air Force (NAV), have rescued the wife of the late Rabi Abubakar, Army General, who died in bandits' captivity. In a statement issued on Monday, the Defense Headquarters (DHQ) said the rescue operation followed intensified search and rescue by troops of Operation Fasanyama. The statement signed by Samaila Uba, the Director of Defense Information, added that during sustained offensive operations and the criminal elements, troops made contact with the bandits at Tunga village, leading to the successful recovery of Mrs. Abubakar. Uba said the leadership of the area remains committed to ensuring her full recovery and is providing all necessary support for her family. He added that troops will sustain ongoing operations to neutralize those responsible for the attack. The late former Director of Defense Information and his wife were abducted in May while traveling through Katsina. On June 6, online showing Abubakar and his wife appealing to the Katsina government to release detained bandits and their livestock to secure their freedom from captivity. The Katsina state government announced that the retired general had died in captivity. The remains of Abubakar were laid to rest at the Gidan Dawa Cemetery in Katsina Saturday. Now, the World Bank has named Nigeria's Lagos port in Apapa and the Tinkan Island port world's top 20 most improved container ports over the last 5 years. In its Container Ports Performance Index (CPPI) for 2025, the World Island Ports Complex and the Apapa Port Complexes in the category of top 20 port improvement. The development followed the Nigerian Port Authority's frontline contribution of national trade surplus through provision of the platform for Nigeria's successive attainment of trade surplus year on year since 2024 and most recently 54 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2026, as reported by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). The port complied by the world compared rather by S&P Global Market Intelligence ranked Tinkan Island Port 10th globally among ports that posted the highest improvement between 2020 and 2025, was 12th on the list. The CPPI report, the 6th edition, evaluates container port performance based on vessel turnaround time and global benchmark. The Container Port Performance Index provides a consistent, data-driven measure of global port efficiency by focusing on vessel. It enables comparisons across ports and over time, helping identify where performance is improved and where challenges remain. According to data from the port, its CPPI score by 42 points, moving from score of -68 in 2020 to -26 in 2025, while Lagos Port possible improvement of 35 points, rising from -61 in 2020 to -26 in 2025. The performance placed Nigeria among a select and substantial progress in enhancing vessel turnaround times, port efficiency, and cargo handling operations over the past 5 years. Nigeria outperformed rankings, including France's Marseille port, which ranked 11th with a 39-point improvement. Turkey's Iskenderun port, which placed 13th. And India's Jawaharlal Nehru port, which ranked 14th with a 32-point gain. Peru's Paita port occupied 15th position with 32 points, and Fazul port shared 16th and 17th positions respectively, recording 27 points each. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll go straight to our analysis segment where we have Elvis Elimihele. He's a Elimihele, thank you very much for joining us on the World News at 12.
Good afternoon, Solomon. How's your day?
Well, thank God. Let's go to the first story for all of our news item, which is on politics. Yes, validated African Democratic Congress ADC, Accord Party AP, Action People's Party APP, Action Alliance AA, and Zenith Labour Party LP. Of course, that court decision have continued to generate outrage from Nigerians, especially opposition political parties. What's your take on that?
That report came by surprise because at the moment the political party have just completed their primaries. We are looking onto the next stage, which is going to be, and they are also trying to mend fences, as a result of the grievances that came from the primaries. I think they were doing that, and ADC just got their shattered, and the running mate was picked even that same yesterday. I mean, we saw that report, but the next big blow that came was the judgment that came from the court. But this matter is also before the appeal court, and the appeal court has said put a hold until October when we decide on it. So we don't know this Peter Lifu that he has to jettison the order from the court and went on with this judgment yesterday.
When Nigerian is because ADC have been jumping from one legal situation to another.
No, it's understandable. I mean, it's understandable. We know that there are other ones, but this particular one, former legislators forum, is before the appeal court. So we were not expecting that something was going to come from this immediately. But when that judgment came, the ruling party has a hand in this. And if you look at the past legislators forum that brought this, the president's part of that legislators. I mean, we're talking about Bajabi Miller, and you have also heard some time past when he said he told the former legislator Abejide that he should remain and scatter that party. As when you hear some of these utterances from them, and even the president himself talking about the opposition have know that the judgment that came yesterday is orchestrated for a reason.
If the cost that the APC and the president is responsible for the situations in the opposition political parties, most especially they're trying as much as possible to destabilize the campaign strategy of Peter Obi. Peter, a while ago, why do you think these scatteration, for lack of better word, still continues, and it has affected for other political.
The court before Peter Obi left, so she should have known what we are talking about.
The foundation has already been laid.
And you should also understand that Peter Obi was, very proactive. Sits around ADC. ADC cannot come out, clean in all of them. So it's probably something might happen before the end of the election. We are aware of you. Look at the head. I think Peter Obi understand the trajectory and he quickly left. But be that as it may, you look at the laws. INEC is the one that has the right to deregister political party. And ADC is part of those parties that did not meet the requirement to be deregistered. ADC had legislators. The law says at least 25% of the state, and either in the
the last time we checked, there were some defections to ADC.
Let's even leave the defection out of it. The Abejide he was talking about, and the staff was talking about, is an original legislator from ADC before he just defected. So ADC has some members in the house, and we don't know what law. I mean, and the court has now cashed on to now the registered ADC. Then if we put all this together, Solomon, you will understand that it is still the say some opposition must not have a voice that is still playing at. Look at Accord Party. Accord Party has the present governor as the flag bearer of that political party come in an election that is just about 2 months from now. I think that election is coming up in August, and now the court is where do you put all this? And look at all the number of members of this political party that have picked the tickets, various tickets for the election coming up in January. You put all this. So, but I still believe that
looking like a bit kind of making Peter Obi a genius now that he saw this coming.
No,
genius now that he saw this coming.
No, Peter Obi is like a Nostradamus. Peter Obi is like a Nostradamus that saw tomorrow. You know, Nostradamus that saw tomorrow. You know, and ADC as it were before now. You know, part of the reason ADC as it were before now. You know, part of the reasons why he also jumped out. Apart from all these court cases, you know, he was also suspicious of where the primaries was going to. All of them put together now, I think it's Nostradamus of Nigeria, because he saw this coming and he quickly left the party. But that's not to say that NDC should be having singing Uhuru. We could come further.
There have been some people that said that Peter Obi's plan originally wasn't even anyway, whether they had court issues or not. The point is, he was trying to blindside whatever the alleged political opposition, you know,
ruling party,
the ruling parties are doing allegedly. He was trying to blindside them. He did this political make them look like he's going to be in ADC while his attention was already elsewhere. In other words, ADC was the vehicle that will take him to political parties, you know, that he intends to settle down with. You know.
Well, if he had that calculation, as at the time he left a Labour Party for ADC in December 2025, there was no NDC yet. NDC came into being February 5th, 2026. So if he had that, okay, let me quickly jump out, let me see the political climate where it will swing before I take my final. Kudos to his calculation. NDC came and NDC became the bride for him to actually jump in, and here we are. But court cases and all of that, because we don't know what might come up from the ruling party again against even the NDC.
But it's like looking like NDC having their own problems, because you know controversies have continued to trail their own primaries. You know, albeit they've been making some excuses that because of the short window, you know, of course, NDC was good party defected with him, and the expiring date that INEC gave, you know, for all political parties to conduct their primaries and submit the list to the portal was a very short window, so they didn't have time to do like a proper primary. So, be it as it may, you know, it has generated, you know, some so that the founder of NDC, Seriki Dixon, came on, you know, on a Rise TV, did you know, interview and made some infuriated some Peter Obi supporters. So it looks like NDC itself is not exactly 100% shielded from.
As we speak, political party is insulated from, you know, one crisis or the other. Even the ruling party has its own. You understand?
They do.
But the issue is that still give it to NDC. NDC is just a new baby, a baby that is just 4 months ago. You don't expect that baby to just start stand
jumping
up and start running up and down, even give him or her the kind of food that you and I eat and be able to have teeth to expect it. But we have not seen that with all those challenges, NDC has gotten to a level. What is left for NDC now is to be very sincere and accept where they have fought. Don't begin to throw banters. I saw that. I watched that interview. Politicians, they're always very boastful. Those kind of boast of arrogance and all that, they should shun it and begin to talk of how to make everybody within the fold of NDC believe in NDC and carry on with the belief of NDC ahead, which is the general election. So everything that transpired between February till now, that they had their primaries and all that, let us just believe that these people in process and they will get it better. I don't even think the ruling party thought that they will be able to get to this level, because with the stringent INEC timetable and registration that submit names and all of that, they were able to beat all this and able to come out with a presidential candidate we are talking about today.
The window was quite short.
Oh yeah, very, very short and very stringent. All this before every other party began digital registration, they've already started their own and they started all over. But other parties were able to still meet the NDC had so much. NDC have to have offices in all the 36 states, including Abuja. NDC have to have representative. NDC have to come up with a digital platform that every of their members now register and see their names as expected. NDC have to talk of how to also pull out these names and be able to submit to the INEC as it were, and also have to screen their in this same period and present them for primaries. With all this, Solomon, you agree with me that they've gone through a very tough period. But the most important thing now, put that behind you and begin to talk of how to and everybody that are aggrieved within the party, so that we can move ahead, because opposition have a bigger challenge now. With this judgment that came yesterday, opposition have to start closing round, to be able to survive the ruling party.
What next? Parties, what next? Because the last time we checked, they already have their candidates, their flag bearers, and ADC, the bigger party of with Atiku Abubakar and Rotimi Amici, both flag bearers for ADC. What next?
Well, as it is, we are in a democracy. It's a democratic government. Let them go to court, appeal this, and as they appeal this, the INEC has to have a stay and let them begin to carry on with whatever.
How big of a distraction do you think this will be ahead of 2027? Do you think it will affect the distraction? Every other party, political parties that are not on this list, will be planning their campaign, what they are going to do, start gathering money, and parties, especially ADC, will busy running up and down, solving court cases. It's a huge distraction.
It is, but this is not the first time when INEC removed the names of their leaders from their portal. The past,
but that was a time ago. We're already getting even close.
When was that? It's still the same within this year, and all the political parties have to have at least 1 year or even more than 1 year to prepare themselves for the general election. But they have been coming through storms, and they'll be waiting. They should just put this one behind them and begin to plan the campaign, because they may also come out clean out of this, probably from the court. But you also know that the people, the planner may want to escalate this matter to Supreme Court. So if that be the case, they should try as much as possible not to be distracted. They have to let the legal team begin to do their job, while those who are involved with the logistics of the political party and the executive begin to plan ahead. If eventually falls well, all good and for them. If it doesn't fall well, then the thing they're not begin to collapse our structure on now, so that now that we have this kind of issue, we saw it in Senegal. You know what happened during the Senegalese general election last time? position was in the prison. He was released just about 2 weeks to the election.
Yeah.
That's so, and even when he was released, he was banned from even contesting. He said, "Okay, I have somebody that I believe he can carry on with my Thursday, or what they call his name, became the president of Senegal today." So these are political calculations. If it doesn't fall your way, begin to plan the way forward, and case remains with the court. If there is delay in the court, let it be that they are also planning their own in-house as expected. They should not just lose their flanks. Yes.
Let's go to insecurity, where former Inspector General of Police Michael Kiro, had an interview this morning on Arise Television when he talked on insecurity. And the major talking point there is the underfunding of the Nigerian police, and statement revelation talk to former President Goodluck Jonathan that we need more personnel. The police force should take advantage of the unemployment in Nigeria. Able-bodied, educated young men in Nigeria. Bring a lot of these people in. I mean, you heard the interview. Yeah. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Solomon. The issue here is that the problem with the Nigeria police did not start today. It's an accumulated problem over the years. Yes. But now we are seeing the resultant effect in a negative form. You understand? Yeah. Remember when a documentary on police college here in Ikeja, the decay in police college here in this cosmopolitan city of Lagos. You know what happened then? Former President Jonathan was going on a trip. He took the facilities, in Ikeja Police College, how decay it was. You understand? Yeah. Remember what had happened? He awarded that contract, to revive that police college and bring it to state. All those were some of the problems that all the training schools, Nigeria police training schools, had all over Nigeria. You understand? And with all this, you cannot imagine the brain out of those depth facilities in those kind of police college. One, they will admit little because the facilities were not there, and even the facilities that were not even there, they were admitting at a particular time.
How do you train good policemen?
You cannot train on that kind of circumstances. Facilities. You understand? So these are some of the problem, and even some of the police. Remember the one in my state? I passed through there about 3 weeks ago when I traveled. I was asking the driver, I said, this used to be the police college. In 1983, I know my uncle went through that police college. I visited him there. He said, some were closed down. You saw some of them even in rivers. We saw some of the one, this government have just set up a committee to move around police formations and see how to revive them. We see videos of some of the police colleges. It has been an issue over the years, but now it has, because there were depth in all this, it's all resulted to shortage in manpower and the training as it will as effective as expected. So people now just look at it that let me just go in there. The next thing I get out of the police college, I'm on the road collecting 5 naira, 10 naira. That was what that was sensitive area that the police were actually supposed to man. You understand? When we were in school, you don't see military men like this. No matter how tough the riot, you say Mopo is coming. We used to hear Mopo. When we not say, we're doing a lot, and we say Mopo is coming, but we do to take to the heat. But today, that kind of now deploy soldiers because the Mopo wing. That's the
mobile
police force. They've now become carrying handbags for the wives of politicians to market and to parties. So let them now begin to have a real focus. It's not just begin to talking about more policemen, but the training has to be grounded. It has to be up to the level of that international standard where, as we have in other states, because most of the problem we have in Nigeria here today are internal problems. We're supposed to be because the police can no longer do it. That's why military is being deployed. Again, it was actually done on deliberate ground by the military. The military never wanted a strong police force to compete with them.
But in the military era, even despite that, the police then were even better than the police.
No, they were, but so many of their benefits were being withdrawn. The death in policing of Nigeria today actually result from the military era. It's from the military era. But when this democratic system came in, this democracy came in, they didn't quickly see the need to quickly more than the military era.
Yes.
The military era where they were in charge. So when they came in, they're supposed to have to do a 360-degree reverse of saying no, the police must be well equipped. Police must be well. Everything that we deploy soldiers today, we now deploy soldiers to look for fight armed robbers. We deploy soldiers to now even go and do the job of even road
safety.
Road safety. Policemen, if they were actually having the number and were trained. One of the things that this government did that day was to withdraw the policemen from the VIPs. The police were even the police to be assigned to VIP because many of them were actually looking at the benefit and running from their civic,
the actual core policing job,
the policing that they were trained for. So all these things are some of the things that SARS were not turned into like even worse than robbers, hijacking people on the street and all.
Became rogue police officers.
Yes. So the police have to do a great reorientation. It's not going to be a one-day thing. Okero has mentioned it because he was there at the helm. He knew what was going on. You can imagine about over 200 and something million population having less than 400,000 policemen. Sheda Solomon on ground.
And this is also coming at a time where the call for state policing is intensifying. I mean, if the police are the one begin to become skeptical about what good these same police people would do, in the state level.
Yes, I think we approve, from now on, if the Senate and everybody that is involved has given clear approval that let's start having their own police. The state police, the state governors. And if it's not compulsory that you must have 1 million at once, 1,000, 5,000 at once, the number you can have and adequately kit and give them a real life, they should be well remunerated because these people are going to bear arms. In that case, Solomon, more arms are going to be in the hands of more persons now. And we only look at the federal police now. By the time the state comes in now, politicians all in the name of recruiting them into the police force. So these thugs who already know how to spend money, lavishly, only knows nothing more than having money in their pocket at all time. If their welfare is not well taken care of, you and I will become victims of the state police. So these governors, before you must start to I accept it and I want to set up state police in my state, you must take care of them very well. Give them decent accommodation, give them the decent facilities, equipment to be able to fight crimes and criminality as it were. Not that to copy their senior brothers, in the federal.
Or you turn them to political thugs.
To turn them to political thugs that have already disappointed Nigerians now, because in that case, the life for Nigerian police is chasing Nigerians, then the state police again is chasing Nigerians. So where do you run to?
And Mr. Okiro talked about this too, that there should be a legislative framework to the governors should not abuse, so because that's the biggest fear when it comes to state
fear, because
police.
Politicians will hijack it, to hunt their opponents. That's what these boys that are going to be recruited into this state police are the boys of the politicians. You know what? The biggest problem, Solomon. By the time the recruitment starts, they will tell the government, their state legislators, House of Assembly members will have slots. Whom are they going to bring? They're going to bring their boys. The paramount rulers will have slots. The local government chair. They are not going to bring the people who actually need the job, that want to do the job sincerely. That's where the problem lies. If you want to actually give Nigerians state police, give Nigerians state police based on your merit and your credit. The profile, Solomon, not you are going to bring in miscreants that will now begin to, boys will leave Oshodi, running after bosses at Oshodi, then now become police. You survive it? That will check abuses, that will guide the grace, Nigerians jumping from fry pan to fire, looking at from the federal police, then the state police now become worse.
Now, let's also take a look at the message time and time again, where former chief security officers, former IGP, former army generals profile solutions and preach solutions, write books about solutions
when they leave office.
And when they leave office. And then these questions keep coming out that why didn't you do them when you were the head of the security agencies?
Yeah, it depends on your principal, and it depends who is listening to you, Solomon. Sometimes these people got somebody recommended them,
or political godfatherism.
That's what I'm saying. You understand? So if I get in there and you are my principal, and I know how somebody came to solicit for me. Every proposal I send to you, whether you accept it or not, I don't have any right to challenge you. You see, but if you get into that office on merit grant, Solomon, you can say no. This is not what I expect to meet. That was what we saw in Nigeria when Dora Akunyili was made the head of NADAC, DG of NADAC. You saw late Dora Akunyili was not looking at anybody's face, whether you are related to the president. You will be investigated and picked up. You also discovered that
her life was even threatened a few
times. Yes.
Even
the executive, the executive of Yaradua then knows that this. Even when when she was now made, Yaradua government now made her the minister for information. She was still very vibrant and actually made Nigerians to know that I can. When Yaradua was now a vegetable in Saudi Arabia hospital, she came and told in one of the federal executive
she was one of those that fought to release
happening to my principal. I need to tell Nigerians what is happening to my principal. And you see, it was an issue because she believed that I merited this position. I was not,
by Godfather.
Yes, so I meditated it, and as a result, even if I live here today, I'm still going to be useful to the society and useful to myself. So some of these persons who don't have a second address, as one to get into an office, you guide that office jealously because you don't want to leave, because you don't have a second address, and you are looking at all you are going to get in that office throughout the period you are going to stay. That's why some of these proposals, that's why some of them, when they now leave office, most of them got into that office as a result of recommendation from one either godfather, one imam, one priest, one pastor, one oba, and all this. So toothless bulldog, they cannot offer anything to their principal that their principal, once the principal says no, I don't have hand in it, will just retrieve.
And then of course the insecurity continues. Actor NIPPS, 3 security operatives were killed in Plateau State. But good news, troops of Nigerian Army in collaboration with personnel of Air Force rescued the wife of late Rabi Abubakar, the retired Army General who died in bandit captivity. But here's the thing, that caught my attention. The statement signed by Sumaila Uba, the Director of Defense Information, during his press briefing, added that the security agencies sustained offensive operations and pressure mounted on the criminal element. Troops made contacts with the bandits at Tunga village, leading to the successful rescue of Mrs. Abubakar. Now, these add to the theories that a lot of security personnel that look, these people at the top know how to end this insecurity if they really want to. They do have the contact of these bandits, for crying out loud. They promised that they will save this woman, and they did. And the question is, why didn't they do this on time? Why did they have to? Why did they have to wait for the husband's death and the outrage that that generated for them to actually do the needful? They have the contact of these bandits, and which other solidifies statement like Gumi that saying that as a bandit negotiator,
yes,
he don't go to these negotiations alone. He's actually usually accompanied by government agencies and agents.
Solomon, we have never shied away from the fact that the government is cooperative about the banditry that is going on in this nation. We will never shy away from it. And Gumi has actually come to actually paint it clearer that he goes with government agents and government emissaries to meet these bandits, and that the government knows the addresses of these bandits. Gumi has said it. Have they refuted it? No. They've not refuted it, and part of it is what just played out now. Until the man died, before they now know that, okay, let us now begin to talk to the bandit and now begin to, come up with, whatever sophisticated ammunition or plan a better intel to release the woman. But the woman was released. I mean, the woman has been rescued, according to them. They said there were gunfires and all other fierce gunfire, because the woman is even injured. She was shot, and she's undergoing treatment at the moment. But the issue here is, must we continue to allow things decay to this level before we begin to find solution to it? This solution would have been found ab initio, and when that man stayed over 3 weeks in that captivity before he died.
I mean, not just this. I mean, so many other Nigerians in captivity.
We are talking because this one is the case study now. We are looking at. But look at your children now. Your children now is a month. We'll be calling on the federal government now to do something. They've not done it. So if anything happens tomorrow, the federal government will now come and I'll be telling Nigerians another blank stories. So the insecurity in this nation, if the federal government sincerely want to fight it, Solomon, they know what to do.
Let's end it there. I mean, a bit of good news, thank God, because we're tired of having to be reading.
You saw the attack on NIMS, Nigeria Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Guru. That is the biggest strategic school in this nation. And information would have leaked out to reach this bandits now that this school is one of the schools where most of your activities are profiled. That's why that's why that school was attacked. This is what we are talking about. This is the federal government releasing all in the name of de-radicalization and bringing them into the society. Nigerians are not safe. That is the biggest mistake this nation, this federal government is making. These people who knows the trajectory of some of these agencies are the ones that are leaking this thing to the bandit now. What is that school that three officers lost their lives because of the attack?
Because of time, let's go to good news, where World Bank has named Nigeria's Lagos port in the Papua and Tinkan Island among the world's top 20 most improved container port over the last 5 years. I mean, when we saw this, we kind of feel there is hope for this nation after all. It's not all bad and not all bleak.
Well, it depends on the angle you are looking at it from, Solomon. You know, this port you are just talking about, Nigeria just got a loan from the British government to revitalize them, and it's also going to be handled by the British government as well. You know, now when the king hosted the president, that was majorly the bilateral agreement the country signed. So you expect that good news will always be coming now, because they are part of it now. They're going to be involved, so they will have to start using this kind of rating to start polishing the image, because their investment is going to be their investment is already part of what is going to be sink into that port now, and because they are involved now, we'll be getting good rating. But the issue is, even as these ports are being rated, look at other ports. Nigeria should reduce charges so that we are supposed to be a hub in this West Africa. That most of the things that are coming in come through Nigeria and go to others. But you know, for some time Nigerians go to Cotonou to go and clear their goods because of the charges that we have so much here. Good, and the good news is good, but we need to make it friendly so that Nigerian importers and you and I can be beneficiary of this.
In other words, there's still so much more to do.
So much to do.
Okay, let's end it here, Mr. Elimihele. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure, Solomon.
That was Elvis Elimihele, a public affairs analyst, right here on Vice VOP at 90.3 FM on the World News at 12. And now to stories outside Nigeria. Leaders of the G7 are expected to focus on the United States to deal with Iran and the Russian war on Ukraine at their meeting in France, with US President Donald Trump likely to be urged to quickly finalize the agreement to end the conflict in the Middle East. French President Emmanuel Macron, who is hosting the summit in Evian-les-Bains near the Swiss border, said the priority was to ensure that there is a solid, serious agreement that is finalized. He said Tuesday's working lunch would focus on reopening the Strait of Hormuz, including a possible Franco-British-led maritime mission, and on identifying alternative energy routes that bypass the waterways. Trump has said that the Strait of Hormuz will be completely open on Friday, which is when a formal agreement will be signed in Geneva. The agreement, which was digitally signed on Monday, is expected to open a 60-day window to allow for complex negotiations to take place, which would include Iran's highly enriched uranium and the lifting of sanctions. The G7 comprises US, France, the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the European Union. Leaders from the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Egypt will also attend Tuesday's talks, but are not expected to engage in detailed discussions on Iran's nuclear program. Trump arrived in France on Monday evening, buoyed by Washington, and Tehran agreed on a preliminary deal to end the wider conflict, with a formal signing targeted for Friday. And finally, on our sports news, Tunisia have responded to their 5-1 World Cup thrashing by Sweden by sacking coach Brie Lamouchi and replacing him with Frenchman Hervé Renard. The federation announced on national television on Monday. Renard coached Saudi Arabia to a shock win against eventual winners Argentina at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, and has since coached the French women's team. The president of the Tunisian Football Federation, Mohez Nazari, announced that an official agreement had been reached with French coach Hervé Renard for him to take charge of the national football team until the end of the 2026 World Cup. Lamouchi, a former French international, had only been in charge since January. The heavy defeat by Sweden on Sunday leaves Tunisia with a tough task to reach the knockout round. They face Japan in their next Group F match on Saturday. To end the news, a recap of our top stories. The outrage continues to trail court decision to scrap ADC and 4 other opposition political parties. Ex-IGP Michael Kiro says underfunded police responsible for rising insecurity in Nigeria. Gunmen attack NIPSS and kill 3 security operatives in Plateau. World Bank lists Apapa Port and Tinkan on global top 20 improved ports. Outside Nigeria, G7 leaders meet in France with Iran and Ukraine high on agenda. In the sports news, Tunisia replaced coach Lamouchi with Renard after World Cup 5-1 thrashing. And that's a wrap on the world news at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon Ofem. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.